All right, the meeting of the Shreveport City Council is now called to order. Councilman Fleury will give the invocation, and Councilwoman Lynch will lead us with the pledge of allegiance.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we come to you today, thanking you for this day, for this is the day you have made for us as a gift. And we do thank you for all gifts that you give us, God. We pray now for wisdom and knowledge. We pray, oh God, for compassion. I pray for the mayor and her staff and all the city employees that function daily to carry out the services to the citizens. Now bless this council. Go with us, give us, and guide us. In Christ's holy name, amen.
Amen. Let us face the flag and repeat the pledge in unison.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilman Burke.
Present.
Councilman Everett.
Here.
Councilman Booty. Councilman Ford.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Present.
Councilman Lynch.
Here.
Councilman Bolton.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the August 13th and 14th minutes.
It's been moved by Councilman Corbin and seconded by the chair. Please vote. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent. Before we get started, I want to make sure that if anyone has a request to speak, please fill out one of the forms that's in the back so that we can all be called up accordingly. Okay. Any council member have any recognitions or distinguished guests they'd like to present at this time? Seeing none, Mayor Tyler?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, we would like to move that we suspend the rules and address ordinance number 106. I so move.
Second, Resolution 106.
106, then, okay. Been moved by Councilman Bradford and seconded by Councilwoman Lynch. Suspend the rules for 106. Please vote. Motion carries with 6 and 1 absent.
I'm going to ask Mr. Simi Buffett to come up. And I believe Jackie is going to read the resolution.
This is a resolution to recognize Simi Buffett, KSLA News 12's chief photojournalist, for his induction into the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences prestigious Gold and Silver Circle, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto by Councilwoman Stephanie Lynch. Whereas Simi Buffett, one of KSLA News 12's very own, was inducted into the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences prestigious Gold and Silver Circle at the Shreveport Convention Center on July the 28th, 2018. And whereas the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences was founded in 1955, it is dedicated to the advancement of the arts and sciences of television and the promotion of creative leadership for artistic, educational, and technical achievements within the television industry. And whereas, according to the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences, the Silver Circle was established to recognize individuals who have devoted a quarter of a century or more to the television industry and have also made meaningful and significant contributions to the industry. And whereas Simi Buffett, known to his fellow co-workers as Mr. Simi, was one of the first African-American photojournalists in the field of broadcast in Shreveport, he has seen the technology of the industry evolve from film to tape and now digital. And whereas Simi Buffett has had an amazing career beginning at KTAL in 1972 and then at KSLA for 44 years, beginning in 1974. He has covered presidential campaigns and political conventions that have had national impact, and he has traveled internationally. He has covered hundreds of local city council, school board, and parish commission meetings, civic events, and crime scenes. One of the most memorable events covered was the Cedar Grove riot in September 1988. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due legal and regular session convened that the City of Shreveport recognizes and congratulates Simi Buffin for being inducted into the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences prestigious Gold and Silver Circle. Be it further resolved that the City Council thanks Simi Buffin for providing over 40 years of meaningful and significant dedicated service as a photojournalist and for providing the citizens of Shreveport essential information needed in a democratic society.
Council,
Thank you
Mr.
all so
Chairman.
much.
hold on a second, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Bradford?
Mr. Chairman, in order, in lieu of Council Lady Lynch, I would like to move that we would adopt this resolution with our accommodations to Mr. Buffin.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Bradford and seconded by Councilman
Everson.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for this award. As I was telling the people that inducted me to the Silver Circle Award, I told them, hearing all these kudos and accolades being said about you, I wonder what it would be like to also hear these things being said about you if you were at a funeral. So I'm so glad that we're not at a funeral. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council members and Councilwoman Stephanie Lynch for wanting to do this. Thank you, Mr. Arthur, for approaching me and wanting to do this and get the idea of doing it, and thank you for following through. You know, when I first seeked out to do this 46 years ago, I didn't do it for the recognition. I did it because I needed a job and I wanted to go to work. And I wanted to tell stories on people, and I wanted to do it to the best of my ability. And everybody has a unique story, and your stories are very unique. And I'm so thankful and proud to live in Shreveport, Bossier, the surrounding areas, and also East Texas, that afforded me this opportunity to be able to do this. I get a little emotional because all of this doesn't seem like I've been able to accomplish this, but I haven't been able to accomplish it by myself. There were so many people in my life that helped me get through this, and I'm so thankful and grateful to live and work in this area. And right now, I just want to run on and see what the end's going to be, and I know it's going to be glorious. And thank you so much for this award. Thank you for the recognition.
And while they're taking those pictures, thank you for telling the stories of our region. That was such a great, heartfelt set of comments from you that really haven't seen you work over the years. That was so nice to hear.
Well, thank you, and I didn't know you know my daughter.
I do. We classmates in high school.
She told me that.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, and I wanted to recognize Jane Rubin, my boss, our news director, and Joe Satino. Joe, come over here. Can we get a picture with Joe? Also, and Joe is our general manager. He's all our bosses. Two great bosses on this side of heaven.
Good to see you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we haven't looked pretty on this one. This is going to come to channel 12.
There you
You may have a job with him.
All right, we're good.
I have to get one on it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And congratulations to the
Thank
family.
you. I'll do it.
No, Miss Family. Let me say, when the story, when I initially saw the story, I came in as it was going, and I saw this good-looking black man with a big afro, and I went, I wonder what that is. And as it went on, and it was you, Mr. Simi, I said, oh, you're the only other person I know that's been around as long as Art. So thank you. We love you both. We love you both. Also,
It didn't go through? I'm sorry.
Oh.
It was me.
And I guess I'll be a little transparent today. I had a crush on the cameraman when I was at USL. Do you know where he is now? His name is Kerry. See if you can find him. But yeah, his name is Kerry. All I know is I remember his name is Kerry, and he was a Kappa. That's. I mean, I remember some other things about him, but I won't say that on the microphone. But yeah. So thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Mayor Tyler.
I would just like to also congratulate Mr. Buffin and say to him that we are so very proud that you live in Shreveport and that you love doing what you do. I've known Mr. Buffin and his family for many, many years, and actually their daughters went to Uri Drive Middle School when I was there as assistant principal and principal, I believe. And so we've always had a lot of admiration, and you've inspired so many people. Oftentimes we don't know whose lives we touch. You've touched so many lives, and we always look to you when we think about somebody who love and have somebody who has a passion for what you do. So thank you for what you've done and for this prestigious award.
I can just add on real shortly to the mayor's words, just from being maybe 40 years or so. I didn't know who Simi was. I always knew Bay Nanny. So when somebody said to us, to Simi, and I said, well, I don't know who Simi is. They said, well, Buffett. I said, oh, Bay Nanny. So anyway, that's the name I know him as. But anyway, I appreciate your passion for the job that you do, and a job well done. So I just want to say that and thank you for your service. If nothing else, Mayor Tyler, do you have any communications you'd like to?
Yes, sir. I have some communications this afternoon. I'm happy to announce that last week we learned the City of Shreveport will be awarded a $1.5 million grant from the Federal Transit Administration to purchase additional electric buses for SportTran. We will continue to push for grant funding in all areas possible to help us provide quality services to our citizens. Our next announcement, Shreveport Fire Department has received the fire prevention grant for $40,500 for 2,500 smoke alarms and additional promotional items. We're glad to have this grant money so we can continue to not only promote safety awareness, but also provide tools to keep our citizens safe. I want to thank Councilwoman Lynch for bringing to my attention that we had some cleanup efforts taking place in Moortown. On last Saturday, the Magnolia Peace Officers Association and Shreveport Green held a neighborhood cleanup in the Moortown community. They were joined by the Elder Anthony Shands and members of the White Temple Church of God in Christ, the Moortown Reunion Committee, the newly formed Moortown Neighborhood Association, and of course our Councilwoman, Ms. Stephanie Lynch. The White Temple family took photos under our Don't Be Trashy, Keep It Classy sign at Hollywood and Broadway. So I want to say personally thank you to Councilwoman Lynch for continuing to push that our city is one where we want to be very proud and that we want people to engage themselves in helping us keep it clean. So thank you for your efforts in getting that new neighborhood association formed. We think that that's the way to go to help us take pride in the places where we live. I want to recognize our Assistant CAO, Mrs. Sharika Jones, who was named last week to the elite list of Shreveport's 40 under 40 by the Shreveport Chamber of Commerce Young Professionals Institute. The 40 under 40 awards, of course, profile Northwest Louisiana's outstanding entrepreneurs, executives, managers, and professionals in public, private, or nonprofit sectors. Winners are chosen based on such values as achievement, experience, and innovation, vision, leadership, and community involvement. Mrs. Jones joins our city attorney, Mr. William Bradford, and Director of SportTran, Mr. De Niro Washington, in this prestigious group of young people. So congratulations. And last week, we had the pleasure of serving on a program with our First Lady, Mrs. Donna Edwards, and we sat on a panel with Mayor LaToya Cantrell of New Orleans and Mayor President Sharon Weston Broom of Baton Rouge at the YWCA's Women Who Care Share Luncheon. The theme was the power of women. We had a good time visiting with each other and, of course, learning that we share some of the same challenges. So we will be collaborating, men, more to see if there are best practices we can use in each of our 3 cities. We have the 3 largest cities in the state, and that collaboration is going to go all the way down to the state house during the legislative session. So it was something that was really, really great for our city and for our region. Next week, the city of Shreveport, through our SPAR department, will host one of its annual events, the 2018 Landers Dodge Battle on the Border High School Showcase, Thursday, September 6th through Saturday, September 8th at the Independence Stadium. If you get a chance, stop by and see some really impressive talent and outstanding games at the high school level. Those are the announcements. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mayor Tyler. Does any member have any questions or concerns relative to proper standards? Seeing none, before you get this way, Mr. Green, thank you. Mr. Clark here? Is that a master plan committee report?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I just wanted to share with you that we're sort of in transition right now. We're trying to set up a master plan committee meeting for the month of September. Once we get that committee back to functioning again, I'll be able to bring a report to this body.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Councilman Corbin?
I think we've all received our budget to actual financial report via email last week. If you have any questions about it, please refer it to me as chairman of the Audit and Finance Committee.
You are doing an excellent job, I might add, on the monthly report for us. I mean, that is very...
I'm trying to earn my pay.
Seeing no public hearing, Mr. Thompson, is there any legislation to be added today?
We have not, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have the following request.
We do. Mr. Alonzo Zachary Jr., please.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Alonzo Zachary Jr. I'm here on behalf of 7033 Brantway Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71108. We are here in opposition of the zone change 40-18, in the zone change in our neighborhood, I'm sorry. Last month, my pastor, the Bishop Tyrone Cawthorn Sr., and myself came to the MPC meeting and gave our statements about the zone change as well. At that time, we were told that letters informing the neighborhood about the zone change were sent out, but we were failed to receive such letter. At that time, we at the Church in the Name of Jesus Christ did not receive said letter, and my pastor and I personally walked through the neighborhood with a petition in opposition of the zone change, and at that time we were informed also that the members of the neighborhood were not informed about the zone change as well. We actually sent in a document, and it had over 75 names on this petition as well. So we also received numerous disdainful comments like we talked about, and the fact that they are between West 70th Street and Jewella Avenue on our block there are approximately 9 used car lots there, and we simply do not need another one on our neighborhood, especially one that sits immediately in front of our church as well. That also being said, we want to make it sure and make it known that we are not questioning the validity of Mr. Pipes and his company. We do think they are a reputable business, but we simply, at the Church in the Name of Jesus Christ, as well as the members of the neighborhood there, strongly oppose the zone change, especially if we're going to put another used car lot up there. So thank you for your time, and that's my statement for the day.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Charlotte Adams. Ms. Adams, as the chairman mentioned, please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
And you may want to lift up the mic a little higher so it's closer to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Charlotte Adams, 7033 Brant Way, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71108. I'm here in protest of the petition 4018 against another car lot on 70th Street, which would be directly in front of our church building and our annex, the Church in the Name of Jesus Christ, where the Bishop, Dr. Tyrone Cawthorn Sr., is our pastor. I feel against this because we have, in past time and recently, had a vandalism. There was the license tag off of one of our vans were stolen. We've also had unauthorized vehicles parked on our church parking lot. We are against this, and we stand against this because we feel that it would bring depreciation to our facility. It would also invite vandals, thefts, and other violent crimes, a great possibility with the trafficking behind the car lot. We do feel that it would be a negative attraction for our facility, with this being on the corner and our church annex and church building being directly behind it. We have submitted a petition stating that the neighborhood has signed off saying that they did not receive any information in reference to the zoning. And there are about 9 lots, car lots, already between Mansfield Road and Juella. Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate you allowing me to speak, and you all have a blessed day.
Miss Linda Thompson, please. And as mentioned, please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, sir. My name is Linda Thompson. My address is 7033 Brant Way. I'm also a member of Bishop Tyrone Cawthorn, the Church Name of Jesus Christ. I come to speak against the car lot on the corner where the old bank used to be, because we have our church, our annex, and we have a lot of visitors come to our church. Then at night when we go home, you know, people be parked on the street, they come up our church parking lot. And also, we don't have a lot of crime over in that area, and I figured that when they put a collar up there, could be break-ins at night when we gone home, or even in the car lots. And there's a lot of car lots over there. Some of them got grass all up around their cars. Some of them's not working or anything. So we vote against that. We don't want any more car lots up there or anything. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, can I ask a quick question? Excuse me. Do you know the actual address of the church?
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
7033 Brant Way.
7033
Brant
okay.
Way.
Sorry.
Okay, so it's on the
street.
Side street.
I mean, you're thinking you're having the same question.
One of the faces 70.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Sammy, you are next up. Let me say this. We don't intend to bring that item forward on the agenda today, so would you like to save your comments till we do bring it forward?
I'll bring it forward.
I didn't think you'd mess it up.
Watch it. Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana 71101. I would like to recognize David Wayne Toms for winning the 2018 U.S. Senior Golf Championship, and I also would like to say a great congratulations on his success and super outstanding PGA career. I thank him very much for his endeavors just as well. David Wayne Toms really put forth a lot of hard work and effort to be able to win the PGA. I do keep up with golf quite a bit when I can on the Channel 36 station since I have Comcast. And a number of occasions when I do want to see what's going on, I'll get away from a dull program so that I can see it. And when he got a trophy, it made me very happy that I got to see that. I can also remember all of the others, like Phil Mickelson, who also has participated in golf. I always keep up with him just as well when it comes to mind. I may not remember all of the others that come to mind, but these two men set a very good example to me as well as all of the others. Thank you, David Wayne Toms, and congratulations. And I'm sure that he would not get Acapulco and Acapella mixed up because one person did the other day.
Thank you, Sammy. Okay, Mr. Rusty Pipes, please.
Rusty Pipes, 7206 Bobtail Circle, Shreveport, Louisiana. Good afternoon, members of the City Council and guests. I would bet that all of you have at one time or another heard about pipes or even seen what we represent in our business. We have auto part wrecking yards that actually look better than most of the car lots. We also have 2 car lots that look really a lot better than all other car lots. We're here to clean these places up. Pipes Auto Sales provides very dependable vehicles at wholesale prices. This is valuable to the middle lower income and also to the upper middle income customers. This helps society, the city of Shreveport, and yes, our neighborhood. I have reached out to the Bishop, Mr. Cawthorn, on numerous occasions, trying to listen and possibly help to some of his reservations of our business. I reached out on 8-1 after this first zoning hearing. I reached out to 8-7. A lady said he'd have him call me back just immediately. He never did. We went around and finally knocked on his door, left business cards after numerous of phone calls, just trying to understand what we could do to help the neighborhood. It's our neighborhood. On 8/11, a Saturday morning, Mr. Cawthorn called and said he would talk with me, finally. And I was very interested because it's very important to me what his concerns are. I canceled my family plans that Saturday to go to Arkansas, and he said he would meet in around an hour. 2 hours later, I called. He said, okay, let's do it later this afternoon. At 3 p.m., he finally called me and told me, nope, I'm not going to do it. We don't have anything to talk about. On August 1st, outside of this first rezoning hearing, I caught Mr. Caldwell and asked him what his opposition was. He said, we don't need another ugly car lot. We already got 9 already, and I just wish all y'all would just close down and go out of business. Pipes produces over 500,000 annual taxes a year through our businesses, as well as property taxes and other taxes that are made to the state and the city. That's $20 million we've contributed since our initial opening in '72. Guys, we employ 50 to 60 employees every day. That's 50 or 60 families, guys and gals. I think they're worried about crime. Guys, we supply professional security cameras, lighting. We've been instrumental in helping supply video footage to the investigations to our local police force and help solve crime. We have a place at Hearn and Midway that was littered with crime before we went there. If y'all visit that location, crime is almost non-existent there today. Thank y'all.
So, Mr. Chairman, So you attempted to reach out to the pastor in the congregation to talk about some of their reservations about this.
To the neighborhood?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We went knocking door to door when Mr. Cawthorn was at the facility, which I don't know, other than a phone number, how to reach him because it's just not his resident, it's his church. But yes, sir, we knocked on door to door. We didn't find any opposition. Mainly the neighbors surrounding our car lot. Anyway, yes, sir, we have.
Okay. I guess my question is,
Couple
then,
days.
when we get to a debate on this item, I'll ask the MPC director to come up. But is your intention to enclose this property?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
It will be enclosed.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. And we've already approved that through MPC. We've shown them. They've made us adjust some things. We were going to go C4. They told us, advised us to back it to C3 with special permission. So we've tried to work with the city and the MPC on trying to get, nice fencing across the front. And yes, sir, it will be enclosed. So there won't be any type of...
Your present businesses, car lots, have you experienced any vandalism or burglaries or...
Zero.
Zero?
Zero vandalism, zero theft. We had one car that penetrated through it on accident, just as a car wreck. And there are a lot of wrecks, but never have we ever had any vandalism. Never have we had anything stolen. And
well, again, that's a question I would ask our police department once we get to the debate of it. But I'm asking you, so in your opinion, your businesses, the Pipes brand has not had a negative effect on any neighborhoods or locations that you're presently located?
Only positive.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Mr. Chair, that's all I have at this point for public comments on agenda items.
Okay. I did want to say that I know that on some of the automotive shops in that area that they have been cited for some of those issues that you were concerned about as far as property standards is concerned. I just wanted to let them know that.
Mr. Chairman, wait a minute, Mr. Chairman, you saying Pipes has been cited
Not
for?
Pipes, no.
Other.
I actually have, since Pipes has been at Midway, they hadn't had any issues or anything over there. The previous call I did, but I know that Pipes
So you're
have
being
not.
generic and saying that there have been car lots that have been cited for various things?
Those car lots that are already on 70th Street. I've never had a citation from, that I know of from the past 4 years or before from Pipes.
I'm clear. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Evans?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar in that. I mean, I did notice that the one at Hernan Midway. I mean, it's better now than it used to be. But it was always a car dealership. But I mean, the car dealership before was not run as well as the one is now. I mean, it does look better now. But another comment, just in general, that looking at this site. I mean, this is the kind of thing that makes you question, or makes me glad that we've updated our zoning laws. Look at this bank. I mean, this bank has 400 parking places around it. Was there a time when they needed that many parking places at a bank? I mean, it's a bizarre piece of property. I mean, thank God we've updated our zoning code so we're not making more things like this. I mean, it's unfortunate. Hindsight's 20/20, I guess, but what did they think this was going to be? It's a small building with a gigantic parking lot around it.
Okay.
You didn't have any more?
I didn't, other than an item that they asked to speak in support of Verizon if necessary, and I don't see any opposition, and I'll bring it up when we get there.
Okay. And we don't have any executive appointments today. Mr. Thompson, let's continue with regular agenda items to be adopted.
The first is Resolution 102. It authorizes the mayor to make application with the United States Department of Justice for the 2018 Edward Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I move, Mr. Chairman.
Second. It's been moved by Councilman Bradford and second by the chair. If there's no discussion.
There's one question.
Yes,
Madam Mayor, do you have a timetable in place once this is received, and how it would be implemented?
Yes, sir. All of that is part of the grant application.
Okay.
Okay?
So we begin started immediately?
As soon as we get the application in and it's approved by the U.S. Department of Justice, then when we get that award letter, as part of that, then we start making provisions to implement.
Okay.
And we just have to wait, until they approve or see if we're going to get the money. We have to apply for these grants,
Oh, okay.
of course.
Okay. I thought,
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
we was already in that category of recipients.
This is the application.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please vote. Motion by Councilman Bradford, second by the chair.
Oh, yeah, for the burden.
To make the application.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion carries with 7.
Resolution 103 acknowledges that the City Council has reviewed the 2018 internal municipal water pollution prevention report concerning North Regional and Lucas plants.
So moved, and I'm waiting on the chairman's synopsis of that report.
I'll definitely get it to you.
He told me it was his favorite one in the last 3 years.
It's not the favorite, but I had a brief conversation with the CAO on it yesterday, very brief. That was seconded by Councilman Corbin.
I made the motion.
Corbin motion is,
I'll
that was the
second.
second, I'm sorry. If you didn't, you did now. Motion carries with 7.
Resolution 104 authorizes the mayor to accept grant funds
So
of
moved.
approximately $24 million.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Everson and seconded by Councilwoman Lynch.
So, Mr. Chairman, so this is the one that I was.
This is the one we have
Premature.
received. I think we are now entering
So-
into the.
So,
Okay.
same question.
Yes.
And there's more commas in this one.
How soon will we start to implement these funds?
Well,
Just received it.
we have to get together, and of course, Ms. Moore, is Ms. Moore back there? Fred, come on up. As soon as we can pull together those various partners, and I believe Mr. Collins is here today. I saw him. Do you mind coming up, Mr. Collins? While they're coming, because, once we finish the various processes to be able to actually start turning the dirt on this project, I do want to say thank you to the community for the support that they've given us. I think we said to you we applied for this 2 years in a row before we finally got it. And for those hardworking families that worked 2 or 3 jobs and could not afford great housing, and they're going to be able to get that now. And so we'll keep pushing for even more grant funding, but I want to thank Mr. Collins for his partnership and always being there when we needed him, when we were trying to get this money to come in to help our families. So,
May I yield to Mr. Collins?
thank you, sir.
To answer your question, Mr. Bradford, we're ready to go. Phase 1 of this is going to be Millennium 1 and 2, and we expect to have a groundbreaking in the next 4 to 6 weeks, and we'll actually be turning dirt in the next 3 or 4 months. So it's ready to go, and the people and neighborhoods will follow right behind it. So yeah, we've been planning and working as we're planning, so we're ready to go.
So for the benefit of those who are not familiar with exactly where it's Millennium 1 and 2 located.
1 and 2 is going to be right next to actually the Millennium Studios site right here. All of that vacant land that you see back there, behind there and adjacent to it, we're going to see a vibrant, flourishing community over there that's going to be full of life over the next 2 or 3 years, starting in the next few months.
Absolutely. And for those of you who don't know Mr. Collins, he is the executive director for the Shreveport Housing Authority, and does a great job. We are excited. It's really right across from the Cora Allen community townhouses there, and so affordable, quality housing, mixed income property.
Yes.
And we're excited about the fact that these families who work 2 or 3 jobs and could never afford quality, affordable housing will be able to have some great housing there. So,
And it's good looking. It's got amenities. It's well done. I mean,
Yes.
this is something that takes it up a notch from what we're accustomed to around here.
Absolutely.
Quite a bit. So
Yes.
I think I hope the public continues to pay attention. And
It's a community-driven process. It's been vetting for about a year now. We've had several design charrettes, community meetings, input from neighborhoods and residents and community leaders. It's a very collaborative process, so what we have is a result of truly what this community said it wanted. So that's what you'll see begin to come to fruition.
How many units are you anticipating?
It'll be 488 units over a few phases over the next couple of years, but we're actually anticipating bumping it up to 800 or 900 units. We had a great meeting with Louisiana Housing Corporation last week, and Keith and them are very committed to this project. This is the ideal type project they want to see with the right amount of federal, state, and city leveraging, so they're really excited about it, so I think they're going to really help us propel this project even further.
Councilwoman Lynch?
Let me ask, because I get a lot of, I guess, complaints about current rental properties that people are living in, other developments that they're living in, like Clear Horizons. I mean, I think I got, I don't know, maybe 10 calls last week. How does that process work in terms of people that are currently living in other places? How will they be able to take advantage of this new housing development?
Yes, ma'am. Great question. There'll be a point very near the completion of these projects where this waiting list will be open and available to the public. And if you meet the criteria for occupancy, you'll be welcome into this housing. So it'll be available to the whole community.
So are there any strings attached in terms of moving from one, or if you have a voucher here, or if you're already somewhere to go there?
The only criteria you'd have to meet is from Louisiana Housing Corporation, who issues the tax credits as affordable housing.
Okay.
And so as long as you meet that criteria, you can gain admission.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Thompson, you don't want to add anything to that?
Well, the only thing I would add is that we are hosting the HUD officials on tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. So they will be in town tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And they'll be at the Art Center.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did everyone vote? Please vote. That motion carries with 7. Mr. Thompson.
I believe Resolution 105 is to be postponed.
I'm going to ask that we table that piece of legislation.
Second.
Been motion by the Vice Chair and seconded by Councilman Everson to postpone.
Or table.
I mean, I'm sorry,
Table.
table 105.
And I just,
Table.
once I work out a schedule, then I'll put it back, but I'd hate to just have to do this until I get the date set up. Thank you.
That motion carries with 7.
Resolution 106 has been adopted. Resolution 107 thanks Mike Spence for 40 years of service as an employee in the office of the Clerk of Court and as the Clerk of Court of Caddo Parish for providing 40 years of exceptional services to the citizens of Shreveport and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the Chair, seconded by Councilman Everson. Please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Resolution 108 waives the automatic 180-day delay in issuing a demolition permit and
So moved.
suspends the provisions.
It's been moved by Councilman Everson and seconded by Councilman Corbin. Please vote. Motion carries with 7. Mr. Thompson.
We're now in the introduction of resolutions. The first is Resolution 109. It authorizes a contract between the City of Shreveport and the Independence Bowl.
So moved. For the introduction of both?
Resolution 110 authorizes and provides for granting a waiver to the Fuller Center for Housing of West Louisiana for all city permit and inspection fees associated with the construction of up to 100 new homes in the City of Shreveport.
I'll second Mr. Flores' motion.
Been moved by Councilman Fleury and seconded by the Vice Chair. If there's no discussions, please vote.
Very enthusiastic today, Ms. Rigg.
Yeah, very fluid.
Motion carries with 7.
There's
Thank
one
you for
ordinance.
that word on yesterday, too.
There's one ordinance to be introduced. It's Ordinance 73 amends the City of Shreveport 2018 General Fund budget.
So moved.
Moved by the Vice Chair and second by Councilman Everson. Introduce. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance is on second reading and final passage. The first is Ordinance 66. It
moved.
amends the 2018 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget.
It's been moved by Councilman Everson and second by Councilman Corbin. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 7. Mr. Thompson.
Ordinance 67 revises certain provisions of Chapter 78 of this Code of Ordinances relative to facility permits for use of the city's public rights-of-way and otherwise provided with respect thereto.
So moved. Been moved by
Second.
Councilman Corbin and second by Councilman Everson.
And quick discussion. I do have 3 people that, if needed, would have been welcome to speak in support of this ordinance, but since there was no opposition, I did not call them. And they are both part of the community, so are vested interest in this, let's put it that way.
Do you have the names?
Yes, sir. One is Brad Dewey, I believe, Ronald Malone, and Brian Chase.
I think that'd be all.
Okay, they want vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance number 68 is a zoning matter. It rezones property located on the north side of Area Drive, approximately 330 feet west of Fullerton Street, from I-2 Heavy Industrial District to C4 Heavy Commercial District.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. Been moved by Councilman Bradford and second by Councilman Fleury. Please, please vote. Carries with 7.
Ordinance 69 is also a zoning matter, case number C-40-18. It will rezone property located on the southwest corner of West 70th Street and Canal Boulevard from C2 Corridor Commercial District to C3 General Commercial District.
So moved.
Been moved by Councilwoman Lynch.
Second.
And second by Councilman Bradford.
Question, Mr. Chairman. You on? Okay, I'm sorry.
You second and you have a question.
Let me say that thank you to everyone for coming down on this case today. I don't know Mr. Pipes personally. I've never met him. I do like your curly hair, though. But I've been under a few hoods at Pipes. And certainly the wishes of the people that I represent is very, extremely important to me. Now, I know we had several people that come down today, I think, and just gave the church address as their address. But when I look at some of the addresses where they actually live, it's not in the vicinity of where this particular development is going to take place. Anyone that has been on 70th Street knows the enormous, he talked about the 400 parking spaces, but just the enormity of that space being left vacant, which is something that we see too often in the inner city communities. Buildings that are just left vacant are more likely to be vandalized and attract a lot of problems than those that are where there's a viable business. Let me say that. In reviewing the MPC's deliberation on this particular zoning case, I think the system worked as it should have. In reading I was not at the meeting, but in reading the minutes of the meeting, it was a very deliberative process. It was a process that they seemed to have taken to heart the concerns that the community had. The original zoning was for a C4, which, after taking into consideration the opposition and the compatible use to the neighborhood, they recommended a C3, so they actually asked them to consider downzoning from what they wanted and to come back and to apply for a special use exception to operate their facility. There have been issues with some of the used car lots on 70th Street. I've addressed those as they have been brought to my attention with SPD, with property standards, with zoning, with whomever needed to be involved. We do know that some of these used car lots are fronts for drug activity. That's all I'm going to say about that. We do know that they're being used for other purposes. I don't think that is the case with this business, and so that is why I am supporting the MPC's recommendation on this, and I appreciate the board giving the weight that it did to the concerns of the community and to adhering to the purpose and intent of the UDC. Thank you.
Councilman Bradford?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Council Lady actually cleared up a lot of my concerns and questions, but I do have one for the Mr. Clark. And while Mr. Clark coming, it takes a lot for me to vote to deny anybody from making a living. There's a high standard there to say you don't have the right to locate here because of this or of that. It has to be something very compelling. But Mr. Clark, there was some claims that proper notice was not given that community for the rezoning. Can you speak on that?
We have gone back, Councilman Bradford.
I'm sorry?
We've gone back and looked at the notification process.
Okay.
Our records show that proper notification was done. We feel that the residents in the notification area were notified, but we have even become more involved and more intense in our notification of this area, this same group for the September 5th meeting. What's not being revealed is today you're just only voting on the rezoning of the property. On the September 5th meeting, which we advise the citizens of that area, will be when we actually address the used car sales, the site plan, what type of issues that the used car sales will bring, how we can mitigate some of those issues. At that time, the citizens will have a real role in determining how the actual site looks and what actually occurs on this site.
Okay. So proper notification was given.
And notifications will go out again tomorrow to those citizens.
So in reference to the council lady's statement that in reviewing some of the coming cars, that some of those individuals who came before us was not really living in proximity of that notification area.
Right.
They would have not received a notice.
And it's basically a 300 to 500 foot radius, and anything beyond that we don't notify.
Okay.
But we post signs that notify persons that zoning changes are occurring, and we do the legal notice.
So the zoning change, in your opinion and the opinion of the board, was consistent with the businesses along that corridor?
The zoning change was consistent with the zoning classifications along that corridor. They were basically C2 and C3. The zoning, and that's why the board and the staff recommended that instead of a C4, that it be zoned to C3 with a special use permit.
I see. And what was the vote of the board? Do you remember?
If I remember correctly, it was unanimous.
And the fact that, and I don't know if he expressed it at your meeting, Mr. Pipes expressed here today that he wants to be neighborly. He wanted to be friendly with his neighbors, and he tried to reach out to that, to express that. So that was a part of the equation, I guess, in making them feel comfortable in making that vote.
And that was part of the equation that led also that it was just rezoning the property and not actually approving a site plan for the use.
To your understanding, how long has this property been vacant?
I really don't know. It's been vacant for quite some time. I mean, you know, when Chase and Capital One and other major banks in the city started consolidating branches and making them without tellers and so forth, quite a few of these branches closed down, and a lot of them are vacant. And just for informational purposes, what happens when they become vacant and they're large lots like Councilman Everson was alluding to, you start having all kind of other violations occurring on these sites. They're big enough for 18-wheelers to park on, and we constantly get complaints, and it's hard to get those 18-wheelers off because you don't have anything to tow them off, and then there are the liability ramifications that are involved. So we were sort of excited that someone wanted to occupy a site of this magnitude.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for your comments, and I think this body is always conscious of all the aspects of rezoning, and then the fact that this property is vacant has no real benefit, but once it could open or reestablish a business on that location, then we talking about putting something back on the tax rolls.
And that's what we're trying to do. And like Councilwoman Lynch has said, the MPC board was very careful in listening to the concerns of the residents. It did not ignore those concerns. They listened very carefully. But this will actually be a benefit, as we see it, to the 70th Street corridor. And we listened to the comments about the other used car dealerships along that corridor, and we're working to make them more attractive and try to address them to be more orderly and so forth.
Well, I thank you for that statement because, again, I can't judge my neighbor by my neighbor next to him.
Right.
Okay? I want everybody standing with their own merits. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
Councilman Corbin. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of many challenging corridors in our city. I guess I've been around long enough to remember when between Quillen and Canal Street, there was one of the original McDonald's, there was a Honda motorcycle dealership, a couple of banks, restaurants, and this was really a thriving area. And as population has shifted around and neighborhoods have transitioned, change has come. And looking at the example of Mr. Pipe's dealership at Midway and Hearn Avenue, and assuming that with site plan approval be held to those same standards, I think that's a good thing. What I'd like us to maybe consider for some future conversations, and maybe this is something that Mr. Clark can assist with, is we're going to have other areas like this in the city, and it seems that to open a used car dealership and offer financing is an easy way to go into an area with a lot of concrete. We see it further down 70th Street into the Cedar Grove area where that's happened. And when you get a car dealership where suddenly there's some car repair going on, and then there's tires being stored at the location, and for security purposes they're just allowed to put a chain link fence around it instead of a wrought iron fence. To me, that's where we begin to open up to problems and disrespect the neighbors a little bit. I support this. I just would like us to be able to take a look and continue to take a look at existing businesses in this area and keep some of those things in mind as we're seeing other corridors that are adjacent to neighborhoods transition to different commercial uses. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Crowe?
Let me ask you one question, Councilman. In relations to some of the concerns that they've expressed regarding standards, property standards, and clutter and all those things, don't we have departments in place to police that already?
I think we have a huge issue with any place that deals with used tires. I know I can name some places that have been a thorn in my side for the past 8 years, and I've been told that they've been cited to court, and they've been cited to court, and I don't know if they change ownership. I don't know what happens, but we still have old gas stations that are now tire repair and tire rental shops that have hundreds, if not thousands, of used tires stored on site. And that just one thing leads to another, and suddenly you have a bad property. And it may be that we need to hear from Mr. Clark and Mr. Green and Mr. Norman. Maybe we need to change some ordinances dealing with specifically with used tires and with people that are operating as an auto repair or body shop when they're only zoned to be a used car lot. Because I think we're seeing a lot of mixed uses, and that begins to degrade the properties a little bit in some cases, especially if they don't actually have garage buildings to do this work in. And if I live behind that or down the street from it, or I see it every day, that's going to aggravate me because it went, in my mind, from a used car dealership to something else.
Okay, and I agree with that, Mr. Chairman. I would like for these concerns, as we heard them, to be referred to the proper committee.
Okay. Just as a nod to the property standards meeting that we had yesterday, I think the property standards office talked about a recent operation they did where they removed 3,500 tires from the site. I mean, 3,500. That's a lot of tires.
They did it fluidly. We're going to vote on this zoning case.
Please vote. Motion carries with 7.
Ordinance number 70 concerns zoning case number C-42-18. It rezones property located on the west side of Mansfield Road, approximately 600 feet north of Hollywood Avenue, from C2 Corridor Commercial District to I1 Light Industrial District.
So moved under duress.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Lynch.
Second.
And second by Councilman Bradford.
Let me.
Councilwoman?
Yes, I want to. Mr. Clark, we had a discussion about this. Again, I think the board, MPC board, was pretty deliberative in terms of this application as well. I guess my biggest concern, it's a sheet metal facility right now, manufacturer that's there now, has been there forever, has, existed, I guess with some level of compatibility with the neighborhood and around the neighborhood, that due to the zoning map change, they were already I-1, and due to the UDC and the changes, they were put into a C2 Corridor Commercial District, correct?
Correct.
And they're making application to be classified under I-1 under the UDC, as they were pre-UDC, which really doesn't cause me any consternation, except I understand that they're wanting to, at some point, sell. Are they actively trying to sell the facility, or are they just saying, in case we want to sell?
May I sort of go back to how it got to be C2 and I-1,
Okay.
the application for the I-1. When the zoning maps were amended, property owners were complaining that their property was being downzoned and certain rights were being taken away from those properties. And they were very, very vocal about that because they felt that it was an inhibition to them being able to operate on their property and an inhibition to them being able to market their property or sell their property. So the MPC board decided to, if they came to the MPC board and requested that their property be returned back to its original zoning classification, that they would try to grant them that privilege. And we have consistently done that, and it's been quite successful in us doing that because property owners felt like that possibly the amendment to the map was done behind their back, and it was done undercover and all kind of things that the MPC board was being accused of. So this was another one of those situations. They're trying to sell this particular building to another sheet metal company, and in order to market it and in order for the next company to buy it, they did not want to be placed in a non-conforming classification or non-conforming status. They wanted to be able to operate as a conforming sheet metal company, and that's why the MPC board recommended that it be returned back to the I-1 zoning.
Well, let me say, there was a little more discussion by the board in terms of, compatibility issues. They recognized, that around this facility over time had gone primarily toward a commercial district.
It was progressing as you go northward up Mansfield Road to more corridor zoning classification. But basically in the area where this building is, it's still basically an industrial type area.
It wouldn't make it worse.
It will not make it. Are you saying it will make it worse, or are you asking me if it would make it worse?
No, I'm saying it will not make it
No.
worse, which is what my concern would be. So an existing sheet metal facility is trying to sell to another
That is our understanding.
sheet metal facility. And so if that happens, then what will the new owner or entity have to do?
They will just have to comply with the existing building. They will stay in the same radius that the building is in. They have no desire to do expansion. If expansion occurs, they would have to come back before the MPC board.
Okay. So if anything changes other than what is there now, they would have to come back before the MPC?
That is correct.
Okay, all right, that's what I want to make sure of, and that's what my biggest concern was if someone else goes in there, then what happens? Do they just, can they go in and do something totally different that might be intrusive and may not be compatible to the neighborhood? But as I appreciate it, if they do that, they'll have to come back before the MPC.
They would have to come back. We don't anticipate, but all things are possible, that someone would come in and plow down that building and build a new one for something else, but all of that would have to be reviewed and approved by the board.
Okay, so that's my duress. The unknown is my duress, but other than that, I think the board gave a lot of consideration and acknowledged everything that they considered, everything as far as I'm concerned in terms of moving forward with it. So thank you.
And I hope with my presence here today that your duress has been lowered somewhat.
It hasn't, but
I tried.
I said it was because of the unknown in terms of the new buyer.
And I was thinking that now you had known because I
Unless you're
come
going
and
to
share.
buy the facility, then it might be lower.
Thank you.
And then
Yes,
I don't
I
know
understand.
who it is.
I understand.
Yes,
Councilman.
thank you.
But
You're
let's-
welcome.
Let's see if the vice chair can make her duress score.
No, he'll probably raise my
Duress. I
Yeah,
might.
he'll raise my duress.
That's certainly the intent. I am up here for that sole purpose, I can assure you. The adjacent properties to the north and back and south
Have either of them, I assume they were I previously,
Some work, yes.
some were C3 or whatever.
They were, initially B3, B2.
Have any of them come back and say that their existing use is not compatible with the new zone?
And I was informed today that there's an application for one. I don't remember exactly what the address is, but there's an application for a business just up the street from this that was rezoned to a C2 or C3 that would like to be returned to the I-1, and it would be coming before the MPC board next month.
I mean, it's certainly not going to tell you how to do your business, but it would seem to be prudent to revisit the entire corridor to see how many are in uses that are that are no longer compatible with that. But I'm certainly supporting your thing. It's just here is going to have right now for a week. We'll have one I-1 amongst 3 C3s, or a C2 and a C1.
And the board just sort of came up with the realization that if those uses are incompatible, or if those uses needed to be returned to their rightful or their previous zoning class, that those property owners they can come in for free and make the application and have that done, and it might expedite the matter than us going back and trying to check into each business across the city.
Okay. All right, thank you. Please vote.
And that passes with 7.
Ordinance 71 is case number C-43-18. It rezones property located on the northwest corner of Emily Boulevard and Centil Street from OR Office Research District to R17 Single Family Residential District to C2 Corridor Commercial District.
So moved.
Second. It's been moved by Councilman Fleury and second by Councilman Everson. And we have Councilman Corbin to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Clark, I know you just sat down, but I do have a question about this one.
In good shape, good exercise.
What?
Yes, sir.
And I'm assuming that this one is like the previous case. We're being asked to change the zoning now, and then there'll be an site approval down the road.
That's correct.
With the proximity to the church, has there been any discussion? Does this restaurant intend to serve alcohol, and would they be prohibited being so close to the church?
If they're within 300 feet of the church, then they would be prohibited from even applying for alcohol. As you know, we don't basically get involved in the alcohol uses anymore with the adoption of the UDC.
Okay. And you don't know offhand just how close they are? I was looking at the map, and it's close, federal how close.
I don't know exactly where the church is in proximity to this, but
It's right next door.
if it's right next door, then the likelihood is.
You got to walk by the closest. By the
If it's across the street, then the way that the measurement is done, as you well know, is as a person using the sidewalk.
Okay. And I'm just curious because I know we do have a lot of restaurants who come to us, with the understanding that they can't make it in a restaurant business without alcohol. And it's not a very big lot. I'm assuming the site plan's going to be an interesting process to get parking and all that in.
And that's why they will go through that site plan review and the pre-application conference to have those type discussions, and those things will be brought out, and possibly they can make the decision from that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all for welcoming me so today.
You might want to sit on the front row for a minute.
Should he have to wear a tie too?
Okay, if there's nothing else, please vote. That passes with 7. Mr. Thompson?
Ordinance 72 amends various articles and sections of the City of Shreveport Unified Development
So moved.
Code.
Second.
It's a good thing
Moved
that's the
by
last one.
Councilman Everson and seconded by the Vice Chair. If there's no discussions, please vote.
Just to get you out of clerk's report.
And that motion carried with 7. Correct. All right, we have no property standards or AB4 appeals. Are there any other appeals, Mr. Thompson?
No, sir.
Okay, we have any reports from officers, boards, or committee?
What we all been waiting for here.
And Mr. Thompson, is there a clerk's report?
The only thing is, yesterday we brought to your attention that the city attorney had advised us that the police department have selected Sergeant Carter and Sergeant Willis as the representatives on the Civil Service Board. And I think that will be on your next agenda. It depends on when we get the letter. Yes.
Questions
That's
about that? Okay. Any additional communications from the mayor?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any council member have any additional communications?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, we had a discussion regarding an incident with the police. Attorney, do you have any chance to research that?
I spoke with PD, and we're going to get you a copy of the firearm policy from the general orders as it relates. It'll give you something to review as it relates to when, how police department utilizes their firearms, sidearms, or any police-issued weapons. But one thing to remember is that all police officers in the commission of their duty have the opportunity and obligation to employ whatever tactics they deem fit. That's in the general orders, and that includes the use of firearms and weapons as crowd control, as well as for suppression or any other related activity related to crowd control. So any issue or issuance of each of the police officers that are issued firearms utilize those firearms, and that does include long guns such as rifles and shotguns. But we'll get you a copy of that policy for you.
And do you know whether or not, and if it's not, then try to address this issue. If there's a presence of officers, does the chain of command come into play?
I can speak to it again, and I kind of echo what Chief Crump said yesterday. Not knowing the totality of the events that you reviewed on the video, I can't speak to a specific event, but I do understand that when the police department, on any scene that they make or any time that they arrive on, there is a chain of command that is followed throughout. There's always going to be someone to relay information to, whether it be dispatch, whether it be an officer on the ground or a sergeant that's present. There's someone that they can contact if there's additional instruction that's needed. But their first priority is to ensure public safety and to ensure that scene or that area that may be a hot area at the time is placed under control of the Shreveport Police Department in order to provide safety to the public.
All right, I'll wait your response.
Councilwoman Lynch?
And the only thing he left out was crime is down. Okay. Speaking of crime, there's a meeting Thursday, I believe at Airport Park. It may not be the next one, but
I think
it is the next one.
It is, yeah.
And how are we getting the word out about the meeting, and what should people expect when they come to the meeting? So I just had another incident last night, I believe, in my district. Emerson
So you're
Long
asking
Street.
about the meeting or the incident?
No, I'm just saying that while you gather your thoughts. I wanted to ask about the meeting for Thursday, how we're getting the word out, and what should the citizens expect when they come.
We, through our social media page, through our PIOs put out a notice, and it's on the city web page, and we try to make certain we communicate that way. I know there was a gentleman at the Southern Hills meeting that said he lived in Moortown, and I'm pretty certain he'll be at that one that one too. But that's how we do it through our normal course of communication as we do all other stuff. Our Facebook page, the PIOs put out a notice making the community aware of the meeting and letting them know that it's open to the public to attend. If they come, I mean, they can come and whatever questions they have, whatever concerns that they have, we try to answer them. If not, we try to make certain we can get them to who can if it's not a law enforcement related issue. So just they could come, hopefully with a mind frame to see how we can communicate as a police department to our public so that we can make safety a citywide issue.
Yeah. So how has the attendance been at the others?
I mean, the attendance has been good. I will say this, seem to be the people that everybody kind of allude to are never there. The folk that are doing the stealing, the shooting, the hell raising, they are not there. So I mean, the citizens that are concerned about their neighborhood, a lot of them are there, and they ask legitimate questions, and they express their concern. But that segment of the community in all the places we've been to date, they don't come. A lot of those people that video, a lot of those people that do a lot of social media talking, a lot of those people that know how the city or the police department should be run, so a lot of those people never show up. So it's open to the public. It's open to whatever citizen wants to come, but a lot of them never do. And so it's a lot of your elderly residents. There are some middle-aged, some younger people there, but there's a certain segment that just don't come.
Okay. All righty. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question, Chief, while you're here?
You know you just couldn't resist.
In regards to, and we're trying to see how we can increase our citizens calling and reporting things. How do you rate Crime Stoppers and as a tool for information?
Crime Stoppers is an excellent tool. As I've consistently said, there are some people that just they don't trust Crime Stoppers. They don't trust people, some of them, for whatever reason. And sometimes you can never get to the bottom of that. But to date, we've never received any information that somebody who reported something to Crime Stoppers under the process of that they report or they receive information that that person has been exposed by way of identity. And so unless that individual goes and tells somebody they talk to Crime Stoppers, to date, we've never received any information that somebody's identity
was revealed.
Yes, sir.
And the compensation, is that you think is adequate, fair to receive even more call-ins to report?
I have absolutely no idea, sir.
Okay.
We advertise for people to call Crime Stoppers because of the role that we play in law enforcement, but as far as how they operate and how they choose to put a
compensation on any call,
we have absolutely
nothing.
Absolutely nothing to do with that.
But okay, all right. Okay, I go in another direction on that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Councilman Corbin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just add on to the end of that conversation very quickly. At the crime meeting a couple weeks ago at A.B. Palmer Park, and you and I were both there. I think between the two of us, we counted about 32 citizens there. And as Chief Crump said, a lot of it was, a lot of the attendees were the elderly folks in the neighborhood that often go to neighborhood meetings there at the park. There was a couple from Sunset Acres who came to the meeting there. But as far as I could tell, everyone who was at that meeting, with the exception of the couple from Sunset Acres was either from the Eden Gardens or Cedar Grove communities. Nobody from further out in South Shreveport. What I pushed my button for was to say that I had the privilege of attending the Upstate Rising Economic Development Conference last Thursday. Very good event, kind of broken into two pieces before lunch. There were some site selection folks from J.M. Mullis site selection firm in Memphis who've done work in this area. Without going into details, although I'll be happy to share it with council members or anybody later on, I think they were brutally honest with the challenges of economic development in Northwest Louisiana. Not just Shreveport, not just Bossier, but in our complete region. And as a matter of fact, many of the things that they began to talk about during the morning session was how, for us to have a future in economic development, we have to think more regionally, and we have to work together as a region and drop some of the barriers that we continue to hold up over time. Later in the afternoon, Mr. Crawford and Bill Cooksey from the airport participated in a panel discussion. That was good. We had the Secretary of DOTD there to make a presentation at lunchtime, who shared some information about the large projects on the books, Louisiana as a whole and Northwest Louisiana specifically. A lot of conversation about the only way these large projects are going to be able to move forward is with some sort of public-private partnership. I wish that there could have been more representation in the crowd and more attendance from Shreveport. Whatever reason there wasn't. But again, I was there, I took good notes, and I'm happy to share my thoughts with anybody that's interested in hearing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Corbin. Councilman Fleury?
Sound like Councilman Corbin's really catching on that new job good. I wanted to go along and say to, and I've already said this to Chief Crump, thanking him for the town hall meeting that we had in Southern Hills last Thursday. We had a record number there of all the town hall meetings. We had 57. 57 showed, and it was mostly citizens that did not belong to the neighborhood association, so that showed a real interest. While we were there, we had two young men, very handsome men, asked me would Councilwoman Lynch be attending, and I told them sadly I'd have to report that she would not be in attendance.
You give them my number next time.
No, okay. And also, I'd like to say thank you to the mayor and her staff on two things that we had done there in Southern Hills. They got taken care of, and I really appreciate the quick action and response on behalf of the citizens there. A couple of good things. I want to close on a positive note that we've got going on in Southern Hills. We have Ingersoll Rand, who is opening a distribution center there in the old Haverty's Furniture. We're excited about that. We'll have to add a few jobs there. And also, the old Academy Sports Building will now be bought and occupied by Ivan Smith Furniture. So that's two property. And the Porsche dealership, I've corrected and said that's the correct pronunciation, is Porsche, has opened up their dealership there on 49 Burt Coons. They don't have anything but white, black, or silver right now, but I'm sure they'll get some color mixed in there. But there's a lot good going on in District 8, so I just wanted to share that with all of you.
All right, well, thank you, Councilman Fleury, for that update. Councilwoman Lynch.
I want to end on a fluid note. You say, I'm just a little concerned. I don't know how many people show up Thursday. I'm hoping, but I'm just concerned that, let me just say where a lot of people get their information a lot of different ways, and I'm just not sure if we've covered every, possible way in particular, to reach, let me say, my constituent base. you know, I know I'm just gonna call Timmy Lane. That's all. I'm gonna call Timmy, have him put it on, and put it on his put it on his Facebook page. They'll take care of some of it. But also, I'm not sure if we're doing PSAs, but hopefully maybe by next Thursday.
Yeah, the
By
city,
this Thursday.
the city did send out the list of meetings to all media, and media did pick it up initially, but we'd be glad to send it back out again.
Please, if we can
Certainly.
because a lot of people listen, you know, to Jab and Ferrari and
Send it back out.
and you know, and that's where they kind of keep up with information. If we can do that, I think we may have a little bit more participation, and because I don't want anybody to think that the residents in District F, regardless of what that attendance ends up being, is not concerned about crime. As I said, we had an incident last night in the district, particularly in Moortown, and you know, and so there's a concern. You know, it's not just, you know, somebody broke into my car. People are getting shot. You know, daytime, nighttime, what have you. So I do know that particularly seniors who some of them don't like to come out after a certain hour. You know, as long as it's daylight, so we're in a good time, you know, now, they don't really have a problem. So hopefully they'll come out and be able to articulate what their concerns are. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Councilwoman, you're having Aretha Franklin tribute at the airport. Will we be invited to that?
Yes, and I'm going to sing.
R-E-S-P.
Yeah, that is a joke.
Okay, right. All right. Thank you, Councilwoman Lynch. And public comments, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, Albert Brown, please, if you would, state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Mayor, and I'm praying that you get 4 more years in here. How's everybody doing? First of all, I hope I can get everything in 3 minutes. My concern, first of all, about Linwood, down there on Linwood, is we having any project about doing Linwood down there as far as, because that street is real bad. It's real bad. It's real bad. That whole is real bad.
Which part?
You know, from going right there at 3132.
Yes, sir.
It is real bad.
Yeah, that's the next
It's real
That's the
bad.
next section that we're going to work on.
Okay, thank you so much. I've been calling Mr. Mike Wood for our back down there on 73rd, back there trying to get that stuff fixed up, because Miss Mayor, her idea said don't be trashy, be classy, and he won't call me. I text him, and I told him, I said, I'm going to the city councilman and tell him that you won't even respond. And he won't do nothing about it as far as getting that back there cleaned up, because he works for, they say he works for the Department of Standard, and he want
Just let us know. Whenever.
you know, he want, and I've been calling him for the last at least 6 months now
Pastor Brown, is it trash or is it?
to clean up that alley.
Okay.
That alley back there. And Miss Scott wanted to clean up, and I said, okay, I'll get in touch with him for you to try to get it done, because the Department of Standard told me that that's who I need to touch with. Right there on 7th Street and Fairfield, we got that Tide place. They told me about that. Now, that man making enough money that he got all them old chairs there. It looks bad. And Mr. Jenkins, you know, you can tell him he can move that stuff. It looks real bad there. You know, like you said, don't be trashy, be classy. And Mr. Grant, he need to go ahead and move them cars, because they ain't going nowhere. I mean, he been having them cars there for a long time. I'm trying to get everything in. I think that's it. And, oh, one more thing. I talked to the young men and the young ladies about why do they not attend. Now, I didn't attend last week because I was in Bible study, and I got the last minute thing that they was going to have the thing for the A.B. Palmer Park. Me and Mr. Carver talked. But I talked to the people, why don't they come out and attend the meetings as far as when they talk to the police officers and stuff? And what they telling me is they done lost hope. They so negative now. I asked them, I said, how come y'all don't go out and tell the people? They said they done lost hope. They feel like they just talk. I know it's not y'all fault. But the citizens has to get out and tell the people about, what's going on and call.
Mr. Brown, your time's just expired, but I think you're leaving it on the right note.
So, but my prayers are with you all, and I pray that we come together as people. Thank you so much for your time.
Sherry Barnett.
Hello, I'm Sherry Bonnet, 2613 East Cabot Drive. I'm just making my monthly Anderson Island meeting report. Did everyone get one of these?
Yes, ma'am.
We had some mayoral candidates come to our last neighborhood meeting. We had, but everyone did respond. We didn't have everyone come, but we did have everyone at least send a message to pass forward. So we did that. We had a really good turnout. We had a lot of good post-meeting response, and we, as always, ask everyone that shows up what their concerns are in Shreveport as well as our neighborhood. One of the things as far as Shreveport has to do with businesses, and a lot of it is along Shreveport-Barksdale Highway. We have a lot of businesses shutting down over there, which is, of course, increasing our homelessness. People over there, along with panhandling, and people are almost afraid to shop. I did send messages to Walmart with some social media comments on people afraid to shop in Shreve City. Also, I think I had sent y'all some information about 18-wheelers in our neighborhood. I think I sent it to you also, Mr. Everson. Yes, because we just have them going through the neighborhood. They don't really know it. Well, they should know. But it's not marked until you get all the way into the neighborhood. Those main streets coming off Shreveport-Barksdale are not marked. So we have a lot of 18-wheelers parking. Matter of fact, we had one this weekend. I called the police, and they did come out. We did pass out voting information at our meeting last month, or this month actually, because we want to encourage everyone to get out and vote. We also had our Windy Park meeting. We had a lot of people at the Windy Park meeting. One thing I could say that I was disappointed, I did call the police and ask someone to please just drop by, because when our neighbors see an officer, you would just be, if you get on social media, they all start just posting. There's an officer in the neighborhood. They're excited to see someone there. They feel like, they care. But we didn't have anyone show up. Also, we had a really good turnout. We had some really good food. We had a lot of people that just were at the park, and we invited them to join us. One thing I want to, before I run out of time, we had, I don't know if anyone's seen on the news last night, we had Miss Lucille in Anderson Island. She was featured on KSLA, Doug Warner's The Good Stuff, and if you missed it, it's on their page, or their social media page. You might want to just go and look at a 99-and-a-half-year-old woman that gets out and does her own yard work. So we honored her with Yard of the Month. So that's my Anderson Island report. Y'all have any questions?
Just two things. If you could possibly send Jeff and I an email on either a suggestion of where we should move those no truck signs from, it might speed up the process a little bit. I mean, we can send and say, will you guys revisit where are these signs location? But if you had suggestions, that would be, I think, helpful for all of us.
Okay, I'll take some pictures too.
If you
I
just-
think what a lot of it is, Shreveport Barksville has a lot of construction going on, and so a lot of times it's just easier for them, just cut right through our neighborhood to get to Uri Drive, or from Uri Drive, cut through to get to the other side of Shreveport Barksdale.
And I'm really just talking about, where they are now and where you would suggest. Like if you say the 400, move it from the 400 block of Ninth Street to the whatever number block of whatever. So
Probably needs to be closer to where their entry points, where they're coming
Correct,
into.
because there's like a Circle K on Camilla, but there's no truck sign anywhere on that street.
Yeah, so that's
On
what-
Ninth Street,
that's
there's
what would be
no
helpful.
truck sign until you get all the way into the neighborhood on East
Correct.
Washington, same as on Wayman. And those streets are, we're getting some, just I guess you would call them natural speed bumps.
Yeah.
Because of.
Because they're too heavy to be.
They are heavy, yes.
So if you have maybe just that's exactly what I think we mean is if you have like just a little list of where you think all those entry points are, so that we can provide that to the appropriate department.
Well, we understand the businesses that are along Shreveport Barksdale are going to have the 18-wheelers. It's just, like I said, coming back in through the neighborhood.
Yeah, but I think we could probably, if we knew where all they're coming in, I think we could find a good place to place them so that it's more effective.
Okay, thank you.
And then, well, let me say one other thing. Okay, so there is an ordinance in the city of Shreveport against pandering/solicitation.
Yes.
Now, obviously, it's a difficult, you as a citizen should not be enforcing it, though I do recommend, certainly when I am stopped, I pointed out to people that that's actually against the law, what they're doing. Whether that has a great effect or not, hard to judge, but I certainly think that if there's a specific location and Walmart is aware of the issue, we should consider sending out at least CLO out there just to
Well, I was
at
at the
least
Dollar
notify-
Tree, and it happened there, and I called the police about it, and they asked me what the physical address was. I had to look it up and tell them, so I would think, maybe an older person that may not be able to call the police and look up the address at the same time may be difficult. I thought that was being, I don't know why the police can't look up Dollar Tree in Shreve City's address. But I had to put the phone down, look it up, let them know.
And also, I might recommend a good speaker might be somebody from, for one of the meetings, might be somebody from Hope for the Homeless. They have some really useful information, and I know that they had some volunteers they were working with at Montessori about, just kind of how to help people understand when you see certain situations what to do, and like how to be kind of prepared for things that might arise with issues that could be surrounding or related to homelessness. Because sometimes what we see is not really the homelessness is not the problem. It's maybe some other type of behavior that's happening, and those people doing those behaviors may not necessarily be homeless, but I think sometimes people say the words and it sort of flows together in their mind. Anyway, they do a really good presentation of helping people kind of understand how to take note of what's happening and help get people that need services to those services and help kind of understand what to do to handle the situation. So.
Well, like I said, I've just noticed in the neighborhood, the more businesses that are closing, the more homeless we're seeing hanging around and behind. And I think a lot of our community is getting where we're shopping online and trying to just stay out of the stores.
Yeah, it's a lot of the countries that's happening. It's an unusual trend. But certainly, if you would like, I'd be glad to put you in touch with somebody from over there.
I will. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Ken Kraft.
Ken Kraft, 157 Archer Avenue, 71105. Mr. President, council members, Sharika, congratulations. That's a nice award. Budget time, page 26, I'm thinking Deuce McAllister page. There's 10 little things on the left, and we're at 9 and 10. Y'all are getting ready, busy time for Brian and budget coordinators. Mid-August, mid-September, and of course October 1st it'll be submitted. I'd like to reiterate, let's rank the sales taxes so far, $73,157,537 year-to-date, some pennies. The last 3 months in particular, I don't know why, 10.25% up, 4.4% up on the year. If we do as well in the next 5 months as we did last year, even, we'll be up about $6 million over budget. If we do 4.4% up, as we've done year-to-date, we'll be almost $9.5 million up. And forget that. Just let's think about that. And the budget is so important. And just a minor tweak, Chief, you might do this. Some cities do. If you're on page, I don't know, EMS, Chief Tabor, just put Chief Tabor, let's see, page 197, just put his name and put his email and his work phone number. We did that years ago in the 80s, and somewhere we didn't have emails then, but we put the phone numbers for the department heads and the division heads by the names. Just a little convenience. If you have a question on the budget and you see who's in charge, it's right there. You don't have to look for it. Now, the cleanup, Saturday at AC Steer, we had 14 people, and it was real nice. We got it all done. I want to be sure I asked Mr. Norman at the Property Standards meeting yesterday. Our park was already very clean. We found no tire. Well, I found one Hot Wheels tire to a truck, and I found a king cake baby, but that doesn't count. That's not on the form. But we could clean up individual houses. We have a 94-year-old widow in a wheelchair who needs help, and Gary said just get permission, and so we might choose to clean up individual houses. And finally, let's not forget 55 years ago today, a crowd of 200,000 people in D.C. to hear Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech. And Lord, do I wish that would be taught religiously in the schools to the elementary, junior high, and high school kids. The message is powerful. It's right there. And finally, we thank Mr. Curtin and the other candidates for District C forum last Thursday. We have our own mayoral forum May 20th. And one thing's for sure, like Tanya and Art and Jeff, Michael, and Jerry, at least District C's next councilman will end in an N.
At least.
Yeah, if you're going to think that through. Sammy.
Sammy Mears, 1901 Centenary Boulevard, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. If you really, really wish very hard for something, your wish may come true. Yesterday mine did, which I'm going to lead up to in just a moment. I went to the mayoral forum on August 19th at the Deaf Action Center and enjoyed the forum and refreshments and getting afterwards to meet the other candidates. It was a very good day. That's why I changed my schedule so I could see Mayor Tyler there. And when I ran into you, Jeff, that was a shock. Mm-hmm. When I said, "What?" and you said, "Sammy," I said, "What?"
It was good to see you.
Yeah, I was shocked to see you.
I know.
But anyway, I did have a great time there with getting to meet almost all of the candidates, except Jim Taliaferro happened to be out of town. I didn't get to meet him, and I didn't get a chance to get to Anna, maybe another time and day. However, it was a very good day, and it was learned that after I made a wish, I said on the way out from the forum when it was over, I said, I wish I could have lunch with at least one of them, and it happened. When I got home, days later, I got a phone call, and this lady said, "Would you like to have lunch with Leo Savage?" And feeling like an x-ray with hair, I had no choice but to say yes. And that's why I did. So when I felt like an x-ray with hair, it was no surprise to me. Now, Monday came, and Leo Savage did come over to my apartment. He came up for just a moment to see the Bob Barker pictures I have. He also saw a 24 by 36 poster of Goldberg going, like that. And I mean, that picture's really ugly. So he laughed and said, "What's that?" I said, "An ugly poster." And anyway, after I said that, we went on ahead and we went to lunch, but he did say that the apartment looked really nice. We went to Strawn's Eat Shop. I hope for Jason's Deli, but if that wasn't to be, Strawn's Eat Shop was the next best thing. And we had a good conversation with each other, a very good lunch, and then he took me back to Oak Meadows, and I thanked him very much. And I think that it was just, the fact is, I was going to have a good day having lunch with him, and nothing was going to spoil it because nobody was going to interfere. Unless they want to be a carrot growing in a field of rabbits. I saw that. I do want to say that the next time I go to lunch with anyone, it'd be so good if I had got a chance to have lunch with Mad Money's Jim Cramer in case he ever comes to Shreveport. There's only one chance out of a million that could happen. But if it does, that would be absolutely super. And then I'll feel more like different from an x-ray with hair. I might just try to force myself to faint. And if I do, then it's going to take a lot of reviving to get me out of it because I'll just say, "What?"
Okay, thank you for that.
Just to make it short, I also told Leo, and wait quick, that Belle said on Alice she was going to sing a cappella, and Vera said, "If you do, they won't hear you back in Mexico."
That's right. Okay. That's all we have, Mr. Chair. If you could bang that gavel, that would prevent us.
Please save us.